Hi YouTube, and welcome to part 29 of Ghost of Tsushima with a Therapist. It is wonderful to have you along as always. We're going to make some poison with Grandma. It's going to be good. Leave a thumbs up if you like Grandma and poison and me. Leave a comment down below. All that fun stuff. Come hang out with us live sometime. We'd love to have you here. See where we go today. Learn how to make that poison. Whose goes poison?
Good. We extract the seeds, crush them, make a paste, and dip the needles.
Make sure the dose is strong.
It should do what you need.
That's it? Crush the seeds and dip a needle in it?
It's done.
You're sure he came this way? The old woman has a camp around here somewhere.
Listen. Someone's coming.
Stay there, Yuriko.
An opportunity to use my new poison darts.
Let's see if this poison works.
He will regret what he did to Sadamune and the others.
Blowgun shoots a variety of poison darts.
I just want his head, and the price that goes with it. How much?
Poison
farther?
darts kill enemies in a violent display that attracts nearby hostiles. Oh
Hurry
my
up.
god.
I don't want to lose him.
Wow, it works immediately. Damn.
Are you hurt, young master?
It must go right into the neurons instead of the blood, I guess.
Don't worry. I dealt with them.
Sometimes I forget you're a grown man.
I forget sometimes too. We should get back to the estate.
I'll stay. I need to straighten the place up.
Don't push yourself too hard.
Hush! You are not a child, and I'm old enough to take care of myself.
What other kinds of poison can you make?
Always so impatient. There is another. It causes confusion and rage. But the ingredients, what were they?
Try to remember. It sounds useful.
Damn. Alright, so I now have a blowgun.
What were they? Red leaves? No, it has petals. Ah, a flower. No, not that. Oh, mother, I...
Oh, and she's got a little quest to go along with this. Perhaps that's going to be how I get those.
wish you were here. Young master, would you like something to eat?
I'm fine, Yuriko. I just need the poison. You are trying to remember the ingredients.
They were
Remember 2 seconds
flowers.
ago?
You remember them, don't you? The ones I planted at your family cemetery.
I remember washing the graves. Father made me hold buckets of water from the lake.
He knew it would make you strong and teach you to respect your ancestors. Don't you remember the flowers, Jin?
Spider lilies.
That's right.
Go get them. The proud do not endure. Oh, that's like an album name right there. It's a metal album.
With enough spider lilies, you can craft a poison that makes rats go mad. tear each other to pieces. It's awful.
It's for a good cause. Just make it strong enough to work on men.
If you think it's necessary, I know exactly where to find what we need. This way.
For a good
This part of
cause.
the forest. I was here when I was a child.
After your mother passed away,
I refused to believe she was gone. So I ran from home and came here.
your mother loved to take long walks here.
I searched until sundown. I kept shouting for her. But she was gone. And I was lost.
You were missing for 3 days. Nearly dead by the time your father found you.
I've never seen him so angry.
Angry at himself for failing to protect you. I've seen your father before countless battles. And he was never more worried than the sleepless nights he spent searching for his only son. Not much farther to the cemetery. I wonder what your father would make of the ghost.
He would disapprove. Like my uncle.
Don't be so sure. They argued often. Kazumasa thought your uncle too rigid, willfully blind to possibilities. Kazumasa had imagination.
Imagination? My father?
You're like him in more ways than you know.
Well, that's cool. Tell me more. Tell me more. By the way, that's the kind of stuff that happens when you don't talk to your kids about death. People get really goofy about talking to kids about death. They worry that they're gonna like terrify them or whatever. If you talk about death nonchalantly and educate children about like what it is, right? It's like, well, it is something where life ends. It's a long way off for you, but people die. Sometimes people die in old age. Sometimes people die young. It's not something we need to be afraid of so much as it is just something that sorry, something that exists. And when a person dies, they are gone for good. We hold them in here, but they're gone for good. So mom died, she's not coming back. And the reason you really need to help a child understand that is because if a kid's parent dies, like with Jin with his mom, and kids don't really understand how that works, they will become extremely distressed by like the idea that their attachment figure, their mother, is like not coming back. And like, what does that mean? And they will sometimes wonder if it's like, did I do something wrong? Like, is my parent gone, not coming back because of me? And as an adult, you go like, no, that's ridiculous. It's not why you... But as a kid, you filter everything through that egocentric lens. So helping children understand what death is and that it's part of life, it's not something that is like an indictment on them, and that it's okay to be stressed out about it. It's okay to miss your mom. It's okay to be sad, but don't go running off in the woods looking for her because you won't find her. The more you just naturally inject that type of conversation in when the time comes, the better. You could do it easily in like with a kid where say you capture a spider or you capture a, I don't know, whatever. You capture a fish, you go fishing with your kid and they catch a fish and you are like, we're going to fillet this fish or whatever. You could talk about death in that context of like, hey, we caught a spider. We could take it outside and we could let it live, or we could, if we kill it and it dies, what do we know about death? Let's talk about death. That kind of thing. You know, people die too. We don't squish them like spiders, at least we try not to, but you can have that conversation and not be freaked out about it. It's one of those things where parental anxiety ruins it for kids. Because parents worry about like, oh my God, what will it mean? And the same way that like if you get weird about like normal bodily functions and naked people around kids, like you make kids think it's weird and you get them all messed up about their own shit. instead of just being like, yeah, this is a normal part of the human experience. Do kids intuitively understand death, or does someone have to explain it to them? You generally have to explain it to them. Human children are not particularly adept at like really understanding what death is, because we have a prefrontal cortex that starts to develop that makes things a lot more complicated via language and stuff like that. So a kid has to be taught some of the more nuanced stuff about like death. I mean, I think it would be different if you had like a dead body in your living room and then a kid walked up to it and smelled it. Then there's like an evolutionary, like, yeah, you're going to stay away from that and it's probably going to freak you out and whatever. But that's not really how it goes most of the time. So a kid just kind of abstractly not really understanding death, you have to scaffold their understanding of it like you would anything else. What does egocentric mean? What it means is that you use inductive reasoning to make sense of the world around you. So a child will assume that basically everything that happens, they have some level of involvement. Or they'll use their limited understanding of it in order to like make these generalized calls. So if a kid, let's say, doesn't eat their dinner and then their parent leaves and they become distressed, that kid may believe that the parent left because of them. And you want to intercept those types of things and help them understand, like, no, like, mom's not leaving because of you. Mom's leaving because she has to go to work. People go to work, they go away for a while, but they'll come back. Mom will come back. That type of thing. But that's why when you have a parent who, or like somebody who dies and they're like, that person left and they're not going to come back. And here's what that means. That's distressing. And we're sad about it too, and whatever. So again, normalize these conversations a lot easier going forward. Are cartoons a decent tool to approach these subjects? Can be. I mean, it's just more important that you are actually talking about it more so than like the type of tool you use for it. I mean, you use concrete terms, don't get me wrong. Like you don't want to like get all heady and abstract with like a 4-year-old about death, but you do want to explain it in very simple terms that they can understand and create realistic expectations around. Very interesting to hear another person's perspective of Jin's father and seeing the way that he reacts when he's given that perspective, because he very clearly has a different perspective. One that is to an extent limited because of being a kid. Jin never had the opportunity to have an adult relationship with his father, which means that he never has an opportunity to really engage with his father as the human that he is. He only ever engaged with him as the father that he was. And that's a different vibe. So, you know, hearing something like, wait, what? My dad laughed? She's like, yeah. Or he was creative and he got in fights with Shimura and all these sorts of things. That's... Man. If I'm Jin, I'm eating all of this up. Like, hey, can I ask a little bit more about him? Because I have all these ideas about who my dad was. And that doesn't negate the fact that maybe Jin had a not-so-great relationship with his father. His father may have been, at worst, an abusive asshole or neglectful asshole, and it's still nice to learn more about him so that he can, as an adult, learn to depersonalize some of this stuff. All right. Such a beautiful ride. Look at that. Grandma taking a desire path instead of going all the way around. I respect it.
careful.
Disrespecting the dead.
Stay here.
Hey,
Hey. Hey. Hey, boo boo. Come over here and fight me with my katana.
show!
Hey, boo boo. Give me some of them wind chimes so I can distract the Mongols. There more of you. Where's the cricket? There you go.
Hindman!
Hello.
To stay! Forså! Dato!
Where's that guy? Hey, you want some? Oh shit.
But we must set an example for our people by remaining true to our code and to ourselves.
The poison's just for now. After the Mongols are gone, I won't need it.
Whoa. I actually didn't mean to shoot the blowgun. I wanted to shoot him with an arrow. Whoa. Damn, that's cool, dude. Yeah, I don't love using that. Kind of an agreement.
Did you drive them
Quick
all?
and painless. Jin experiencing some conflict around using it makes sense.
Yes. It's safe to look for the spider lilies.
Why would we look for them here?
Isn't this where you used to plant them?
Oh. No, not here. It's been so long. They're in another cemetery. Your great aunt's branch of the family. It's not far.
Oh, okay. They're outside of the other castle where the princess is.
Yuriko, do you remember? I was 5 or 6. I had a nightmare about this forest. A fight.
It wasn't a nightmare. I told you it was to keep you calm.
That was real? I remember men shouting.
Our retinue was returning home late one night. We were ambushed by Ronin.
The Ronin must have been dangerous. My father's samurai were frightened.
Not of the Ronin. Of Kazumasa.
Of my father. Why?
He and his samurai drove the Ronin off. But Kazumasa pursued them on foot. You could hear their screams. He returned to us just before dawn, covered in blood. Some of his own men mistook him for a demon of the forest.
Oh man, I'm gonna chip off the old block, huh? He had some ghosty vibes. That's alright. This means I get extra time with Grandma to learn more about my Passed. I'm all for it. Get me in there.
Do you recognize this lake?
We used to meditate here.
How you'd fidget.
You told me to pretend I was a rock, and all I wanted was to swim.
The view's much better from the shore. Join me, young master. These old bones need a rest.
Oh, that's where her favorite tree is. Okay.
This time you'll have to keep me from fidgeting. Some of my favorite memories happened at this lake.
Stopping a child's fidgeting?
Your mother and I would come here when she was pregnant with you.
We should keep moving.
A grown man, and you still can barely sit
We
still.
can meditate again. After the war.
Yes, young master.
Yeah, so that's the second time that we've seen Jin have an aversion to something emotional from his past while he is trying to navigate all that's happening on the island. And I think that's a lot of his samurai code showing up. Like, this is what happens, right? Like, you have these moments. If you're a person that believes that the way that you're supposed to navigate emotion is to just stuff it down and not attend to it, you miss out on these moments, man. He's chilling on a lake shore with grandma. And they start to reminisce about people that are meaningful for him, that he still carries emotion for. And rather than give himself a couple minutes even, just be in that. Have a moment of presence with your mom in a way that you can, because she's not around. You have this person who is connected to your mom, somebody who sat with her in this very same spot while she was pregnant with you. And you have an opportunity to connect on that. Maybe even say something like, I wish I knew my mom better, or what was my mom like back then, or whatever. Those types of things can carry significant meaning. It's a moment in time that you have to learn about something that's obviously matters to you. But if you believe that indulging that is weak or antithetical to your mission, you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff, and you're going to keep jamming it down and jamming it down and jamming it down and jamming it down. And then what you do is you create a really nasty positive feedback loop on that, where now instead of attending to things as it's come out, you just keep jamming it down. Well, now if you want to attend to it, you have a gigantic ball of yarn down there. Gigantic. Instead of being something that you can just unravel piece by piece and it shows up and you engage with it. Maybe you're a little sad. Maybe you're angry. Maybe you're this. Maybe you're that. You process it with people that knew her and meaningful. Now it's this gigantic, insurmountable thing. So you continue to not deal with it because you continue to suppress your emotion because I don't want to deal with how big of a thing that is. And then it keeps getting bigger. At some point, the thing that you want to realize is that the emotional burden of anything, a trauma, of just significant things that happen in your life, etc., that ball of yarn is smaller now than it ever will be. Talking about it is not going to make it bigger. It's going to start the process of unraveling it. A lot of people believe it's going to make it worse. Jin probably believes that if he gets emotional there, he's compromised, he's weak, he's not able to continue on his mission, which is why he diverts immediately to, I should probably get going. We should probably get back on the trail. Let's get back to fighting the Mongols. Because he doesn't want to attend to the emotion that's going on. But that emotion is there whether he wants it to be or not. So you might as well take a second. It also means that the more that he can engage with those types of emotional experiences, the more he can engage with other more pleasurable types of emotional experiences. Perhaps what it's like to wear his father's armor. Perhaps what it's like to be at home. what it's like to have an opportunity to converse with his grandmother. That stuff's really important. This is why I constantly talk about emotional suppression as not being a particularly ideal thing. Jin's vulnerable right now, and he thinks that the way that he can defend that and steel himself is to distract and get away. And nah, man, just sit with it for a second. This isn't one of those things where we're like on the battlefield and he sees something that triggers him about his dad, and he's got like, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about an actual moment where he could reflect and chooses not to. Take these moments and choose to use them in a way that's going to be meaningful for you in the long term. You'll be better off for it. I really should start calling her Yuriko instead of grandmother, because if she's not his grandmother, I'm going to start getting people to believe that it's his grandmother.
Cemetery isn't far.
Feels much closer when you're not carrying water.
I bet it does, Jin. Serene forest. It is indeed serene.
They may break stone, but they cannot erase the memory of these warriors.
Please gather the spider lilies. I can't bear to look.
Damn. It's good though, man. You want to demoralize
My
people.
aunt Matsu would weep at the condition of this place. Most of these warriors fell in the rebellion at Yuriko. They deserve better than this.
So this is like one of the fascinating moments of the human psyche, in my opinion. Because when we create these things like cemeteries and headstones and put flowers next to them and statues and all these things, we like to talk about it like we're doing it for the dead. They're dead. They're dead. They're gone. And yes, there are religions and spirituality that would tell you, no, they're not dead. Their soul lives on, all these sorts of things. And that's fine. Like, I respect that. But ultimately, like, they're dead. That statue is not for them. They are not. It's for the living. It's for it. You know, they need to be remembered is built on the fear that they'll be forgotten. And what does that mean if I forget about some of the people that died during the rebellion? What does that say about the grieving process? To an extent, sometimes these symbols created by humans as a means to try to make them feel better actually perpetuate things that are part of a grieving process, can actually prolong the grieving process to an extent. I'm not saying go forget about everybody in your life who ever died. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that, like, when you talk about how these things are for the dead, but you're distressed by the fact that like the dead, you know, the dead would understand. And it's like, okay, they're warriors. They understand that bad things happen. Like some Mongols came in and toppled the statues. It feels shitty, and we hate that. Sure. And also, the people who are distressed by it are the living, and it's an interesting thing because if you have these symbols that are so deeply important, you do vulnerabilize yourself to the target or to your enemies, where you have the Mongols know, like, yeah, let's go target their graves, go knock the headstones over. They'll be completely discombobulated by that. It's easier to objectify when you're the Mongols. You don't care about these people. You go into any kind of cemetery with people you don't know. You just kind of go, ooh. But I mean, really think about that. Like, there are ways that we perpetuate our own issues through the symbols we create, thinking we're doing it for certain reasons, when the reality is, like, we have these things because we want to feel better the people who are living. And if you don't like learn to process through these things in a way that's like meaningful and healthy, these things do end up becoming more problematic than anything else, rather than the helpful symbolic thing that they're designed to be. I just always find it really interesting. Let me guess, we're gonna get attacked so that I can use these arrows on them and see what happens.
This is all I could find.
It is enough to make the poison, but I don't want our time to end.
Oh.
The Shimura Cemetery isn't far.
With a view of the waterfall. Let's go, my lord.
I love that. I'll help you find this stuff, but I don't want to stop hanging out. That's great, man. All right, Grandma. I'll stay with you. Hell yeah. Let's hang out more often. When we saw the part where the Mongols hired the statue artist, it was to replace the old statue with the statue of the Mongol leader. How does destroying the graves fit into that? It's just destruction. There's no replacing. Show of power, doesn't it anger the people more than frighten them? It affects them. That's what matters. It's to show your shit doesn't matter. Like, your stuff doesn't matter. Our stuff matters. We are trying to fragment and demoralize you. That's the whole thing. That, like, we want to take whatever little unity and sense of empowerment that you have left to fight against us, and we want to just take it right out of your hands so that you stop fighting. We want you to be stuck in your distress about the grave sites so that you start compensating for that and maybe trying to rebuild grave sites instead of organizing an army. We want the people of the island to be fighting each other. We want the bandits around, because if the island of Tsushima fights each other, they won't fight us. They're fragmented. You will do everything. I mean, the Mongols right now, you should basically think of them as being union busters. They're like, yo, we do not want this island to unionize. We're coming in, Mongol corporate overlords, and we're going to run things the way that we want them. And we cannot afford for the island of Tsushima to unionize, because if they do, then we aren't going to profit from this island in the way that we want to. So let's keep busting it up. Let's keep propagandizing them. Let's keep incentivizing them to act in their own self-interest so that they don't see a collective interest and figure out how to fight together. It worked really well with the Straw Hats. It worked, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. Like, the Khan knows what he's doing. So yeah, you send in parties to destroy symbols that mean a great deal to these people, and they're going to start getting scrambled trying to rebuild that. How many warrior monks would try to rebuild the temple, replaster that Buddha statue, instead of organizing themselves as part of the cause? I mean, and that's fine if that's what matters to them more power to them, but it's a really effective tactic. And to an extent, if you're the Sakais and the Shimuras, you want that to an extent too. You get the island fighting amongst themselves, they may not actually take time to realize that the nobility is taking them for a ride. That the nobility is all about cheap labor while they relax on their private yachts out in the water and sit in their palaces and shit, and freak out about legacy and all that. That to me, like, that's the saddest part of the whole thing.
Kazumasa, I do enjoy our rides together.
Did you say Kazumasa?
Did I? You ride with your father's grace.
Did you often go riding with my father?
Lord Sakai taught me to ride a horse.
Nice.
Careful. Mongols ahead.
Wait, I can mix the new poison.
Knew it. Called it. Thanks, Grandma. You're getting into it.
How does it work?
Oh, it's terrible. Causes madness. They'll turn on each other like wild beasts.
Good. Make it. Quickly.
Jeez.
The poison is finished. Take it.
Hallucination dart. Sends enemies into a violent rage when they attack friend and foe alike. Holy crap.
I'll stay here.
Clear the camp of your foe. Honestly, I really don't want to use it. Go. We're gonna do this way. Oh god, the birds. Oh, you shot your friend, dude. No. Didn't need it, Grandma. Didn't need it.
I thought we rid ourselves of those bandits.
Not bandits. Mongols.
Oh, I couldn't see them from here. After all this, I'm worried about the Shimura cemetery, my lord. Would you check on it with me?
Of course, Yuriko. Let's have a look.
Damn, we just do this through the night? It's already morning?
Are you tired, Yuriko?
No, Lord Saka. This is the best day I've had since our afternoon at Lake Oni.
Oh.
I don't remember that. You are sure that was me?
It was so long ago. You must have forgotten. The war hasn't touched this place.
God, the ambient noise is so good.
Do you remember, young master? We'd pay our respects to the Shimura warriors buried here. Then spend the afternoon writing poems.
I remember, Yuriko.
Let's write one now.
We gonna write a haiku together? Hell yeah. Reflect on impermanence. Ooh. Unmoving mountain, soaring ambition, unbreakable walls. Endlessly flowing water, but the works of men are frail. Stone abides rushing water. Life flows into death. Life blossoms and fades. Lords and clans vanish.
Soaring ambition. Stone abides rushing water. Life flows into death.
Well said, my lord. The proud do not endure. The greatest of us fall in the end.
We should return to Omi.
I'll stay a while.
I know better than to argue.
Good. You learned something today. Kazumasa used to say Lord Shimura was too concerned with that castle.
The strongest point on the island.
He equated strength with the huge, the immovable, like a mountain.
He had a point. Doubt and indecision have destroyed armies. In the midst of battle, true leaders must stay rooted, stand firm.
But look at that waterfall. All that immovable rock yields to water.
Yeah.
The strength we need is all around us.
Damn right.
I have one more place I would like to visit, my lord. When you're ready.
Yuriko's keepsake. Heroes have a 15% chance to poison enemies. Oh, jeez.
Lord Sakai.
You better not hit me with the I'm dying pin. Don't be hitting me with that, Grandma. You live forever. Grab this cricket.
Excuse me. The cold wind is getting to me.
Yuriko, you're not well.
Nonsense.
Let me take you to Akashima. They can treat you.
We have to visit someplace special.
Where?
It's not far. After that, I promise we will see your healers.
Fine. But if you start feeling worse, we go straight to Akashima.
Of course, my lord. Always so stern.
Yeah, she knows something's up. She knows something's up. The art of seeing. I see you, JJ.
Where is this special place of yours?
You'll see.
You cannot tell me?
I won't have to.
It's the dueling ring where I learned all of my combat skills from my uncle. She's gonna pull a katana and be like, "Give me a warrior's death, Jin.
Lead
I
the
won't
way."
succumb to terminal illness." And it's gonna be really, really, really crazy.
Faster, move.
That would be quite the twist, huh? I deserve a warrior's death.
Do you know where we are?
There's an onsen around here, isn't there?
Is Grandma a warrior? Have you seen the way she preemptively fights hunger? Yes, she's a warrior.
It is. Shall we take a closer look? Isn't it beautiful?
Very. Why are we here?
Are you upset? I hope it's not wrong of us to come.
I don't understand.
It's so painful to see you weighed down by sadness with Lady Sakai and the little one.
Yeah.
Yuriko, are you alright?
It's nothing. I just felt a little faint.
When did you last eat?
Yesterday, I think.
She doesn't think this is Jin anymore.
Wait here. I'll find us something.
I'm not a child.
Please, Yuriko. Rest here a moment.
As you wish, since you ask so sweetly.
I'll be back soon.
Oh boy.
Maybe there's game nearby.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, anybody who unfortunately has been in the presence of a loved one who has endured dementia or Alzheimer's, you probably recognize a little bit of what's happening here. I'm not diagnosing Grandma with Alzheimer's, but dementia is real, man. It comes for a lot of people, and it is a very, very complicated experience for everybody involved. And it's distressing for the person with dementia. I'm going to just say dementia, but know that I'm also including Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is a form of dementia, but it's rough. So first you have the person who's experiencing it. And for some, it's a slow burn. You get like early onset dementia. It starts with something like, I thought I had my keys on me. That's weird. Where are they? Huh. Starts usually with stuff like that. And as it goes on, it can get to a point where it can be severe enough that a person may not even remember what they ate 10 minutes ago. And for that person, there's like a threshold. So for a while, you are fully aware that you are starting to engage with dementia. You are fully aware that you're starting to forget things. You notice that your short-term memory is not as sharp anymore. You forget things pretty frequently. You have moments where you might like, it's like, why can't I remember your name? What the hell? You have those moments and it gets frustrating. You often see a lot of that, like, and then sometimes there's an effort to suppress it. Sometimes it's one of those things where like a person's like, yeah, you become particularly forgetful. So we got to make adjustments around this. And it can be very frustrating to have the conscientiousness around that. And how a person reacts to that is really subjective. But depending on how severe the degeneration is, it can get to a point where eventually that person doesn't actually realize anymore that it's happening. Alzheimer's is a really good example of this, but like just even severe dementia, that the person legitimately has no idea that they're afflicted with it. So now you start getting into like really some core emotion. You get into like fear and stuff where like that person they may think you're somebody else entirely. They may think they're in an entirely different context. They're not being run by a prefrontal cortex in the way that they were for a while. And there can be a kind of like a neutralization of affect. Sometimes there's intense affect. It can be a desire to run away. You start thinking certain people are other people. Because what's kind of fascinating about it is that it doesn't really touch long-term memory in the same way it touches short-term memory. They're coded differently in the brain. So you can actually have people who draw upon long-term memory, similarly to how Yuriko is calling Jin his father's name, where she remembers that. She remembers moments that they had when they were a kid. She remembers that, like, all of these friends, maybe a person that she dated when she was in high school. I mean, stuff like that. And you kind of engage with that. And it's hard to assess what a person's general experience of that is because you don't really know how accurate of a report you're going to get in terms of like how okay they are. But it can actually provide slight respite to an extent when the person no longer realizes that they're suffering from severe dementia or Alzheimer's because they're just in their own world. And eventually, unfortunately, it can kill you. Because your brain, if you look at brain scans of people with severe dementia and Alzheimer's, their brain is quite literally rotting. Like it is being destroyed, like from the inside out. There are like literal gaps in gray matter and stuff in brain scans. It's really wild. So that person is essentially succumbing to biology. There's not a lot that you can do because their brain is literally like going away, dissolving. So that's one part of it, right? Then you have the part of it that's what everybody else has to endure. All of the loved ones who surround the person with severe dementia. That can be unbelievably taxing. Is unbelievably taxing because you have to essentially grieve that person while they're still there. And it really gets us into the whole existential idea of like, who is a person? Because that person is not going to be the person that you knew when they were full faculties. That person may forget who you may look your mother in the eye, somebody who you had a very close relationship, and she may look at you and have no idea who you are. That is rough. Really, no matter how you slice it. Somebody who mattered a great deal to you, who you have memories of being of sound mind and body, totally available to you. Totally available to you. You could have a conversation about whatever, and they knew the history of your relationship, all this stuff. All of a sudden looks at you and doesn't know who you are. Or looks at you and panics because they think you're somebody else. And it's really, really hard to depersonalize that. Many people in that situation will personalize it. They will desperately try to get that person to remember who they are. You see immense amounts of denial in families that are around folks with Alzheimer's until it's so severe that you really just can't get away from it. You have to acknowledge that it's real. And that can be really rough because by then you may not actually have had the opportunity to do some of the grieving with that person. The nice thing about when a person is still available and is willing to acknowledge that it's happening is that there is some degree of grieving that can happen together. Eventually, if you could reach a threshold where that's no longer available to you, you start having to grieve while that person's there. You see the shell that the person occupied, but it's no longer the person as the way you knew them. Doesn't mean they're not a person anymore. It means it's a person with entirely different needs. It's a person who, in order for you to meet their needs, you have to understand that they are not who you imagine them to be anymore. They don't occupy that same role. And that, again, it's incredibly hard for people to break out of the habitual patterns around what that means. It's distressing, it's taxing, it's tiring. You might have little bursts where somehow that person's available to you, and then all of a sudden they're not really anymore. It's not quite like The Notebook, where you have this moment of lucidity that lasts, for a couple hours, and you go on a walk and you reminisce, and then it's gone again. It's one of those things where it's like pretty consistently degenerative. But I don't envy anybody who ever has to be in a situation where they themselves suffer from dementia, or they're around somebody who is suffering from it. But it is very important to acknowledge the reality of what's going on. Do some legitimate research about how the disease works. Talk with doctors and care specialists about what to expect, so that you have reasonable expectations of what's going on, and as best you can, grieve while the person is still available with you. It can be a really good, intimate, reciprocal experience to do that. So we're seeing a bit of that here. And Jin is having a response to it that's pretty classic when you haven't been entrenched in it for a long time, which is to be like, huh? You sure? This feels kind of weird, but I'm gonna let you go because I want to imagine that you're not slipping in the way that I think you're slipping, and that gets pretty dangerous. Because old folks with dementia who are able-bodied are pretty quick, and they'll run. And they're hard to catch. And so it can get really dicey. So it's really important, if you're a person who is in a position where you're around somebody who is suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's, you do need to take time for yourself. You do need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Make sure that you depersonalize it. That person forgets who you are. Don't take it personally. It's part of it. And there's probably some grieving that you're going to need to go through here. And I'm not saying this to wag my finger at people, but there's a lot of people in chat right now that are saying things like, I really am afraid of getting dementia. And that's okay. That's a totally understandable thing to be afraid of. I also personally don't want to experience that. However, one thing that I encourage you to consider is that for many people, that fear is something that contributes to the denial of its existence if it starts to show up. So if it can really backfire where you may ignore certain symptoms in yourself or in somebody else because you don't want to acknowledge the reality. The reality is, whether you want it to happen to you or not, you don't really have much of a choice. And if it does start to show up, the sooner you acknowledge it, the sooner you attend to it, the sooner you can have a game plan for how these things are going to be navigated and managed, both for yourself and for the people around you. Really rough stuff, man. It is not a fun thing for anyone. I am very nervous about what's going to happen here. Hunt a boar to feed Yuriko. We're just gonna shoot a boar and then cut it open and cook it right there. I don't even have any seasoning with me. Oh God. Can hit a human running away, no problem.
I'll bring this to Yuriko. Make her eat a little.
Oh, Jin. Hard too, because once it sets in, you start to question whether what a person with dementia is saying to you is real. Might deny it. I mean, there's like, yep, she's gone. I knew she was going to be gone. That was so obviously going to happen.
Yuriko.
Oh,
Yuriko!
no
Her horse isn't
way.
here.
Oh, okay. Oh my god, I thought she was that rock in the middle of the spring. Oh.
She
Oh,
rode
man.
off.
Yeah, of course you did, Jin. This is what happens, man. Boy, there's so many people right now that are sitting here going like, yeah, that's real. Been in that position. I'm not kidding, man. People are quick. They will run. Oh, man. This is not gonna be good.
Powder. Herbs. She came this way. Yuriko's horse. She can't be far.
Oh boy.
Yuriko!
My lord.
Yuriko, are you hurt?
No. I was just... I got lost.
Where were you going?
I saw my mother. She waved but kept walking. I had to catch up.
I'm bringing you home.
No. My mother. I have to make an offering.
You do not.
Please. For all the times I've done as you asked. Come with me. Let me pay respects to my mother.
All right.
Attaboy.
But don't push yourself.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this kind of falls in line with some of the other things we talked about in this and other playthroughs, which is, so what do you do here? What do you do? You engage with her reality. That's your only choice. If Jin sits here and goes, your mom's dead, there's no way you saw her, which unfortunately is how some people will engage, you are not doing yourself any favors. Because for this person, for Yuriko, that was real. That was real. She saw her mom. And there is no arguing that. Now, that's different from, you know, if a person's kind of early into the onset of it and they say something, or early-ish, maybe middle of the road, and they call you the wrong person. It's okay to say, hey, it's me, Jin. That's my dad. But I'm Jin. You remember me, right? Like I'm your grandson. That's an okay thing to do. But eventually, that's not going to do you any favors. Eventually, you may actually have to engage with her as that person. So if she calls you like her high school boyfriend, be like, yeah, it's me. Hey, we got to get you home. Like you actually start playing along. And there are ways that you can do that that will actually calm the person down. Because the thing is, imagine, so like the best way that I can do an analog for this is, imagine like look at something in the space that you're in right now, something that's very familiar to you. And so like, let's say for me, I have this, I have this mug, right? And it's got tea in it. So I know that this mug has tea in it. I drink from it. It's got tea. It exists, right? If somebody who I don't know showed up to me right now in this space and said, hey, I know better than you. That's not a mug. Not a mug, and that's not tea. That's a cup, and it's got poison in it. Or not even poison. That's a cup, and it's got Dr. Pepper in it. No, not what this is. But that person has some real significant authority and is like very forcibly trying to convince me that that's the case. That's the experience your loved one is having if you try to inject your reality into their subjective experience and counteract it. You'd be like, no, I am holding a mug and it has tea in it. And that person's like, yeah, you are the guy I dated in high school. There's no doubt about it. So you trying to tell me that you're not that is distressing to me. Because that's not what it is. I'm gonna double down and advocate for my reality. Because that's, what do you mean? I don't have grandkids. Like, I mean, it can get really bad. So you want, in order to de-escalate that person, and this is part of where the acceptance of the dementia has to come in. Because if you're in denial about this shit, you're not gonna do this stuff. You've got to work with them. The de-escalation happens when if Jin says, you saw your mother? Tell me about that. What did you see? What was she wearing? Where was she trying to bring you? Did she say anything to you? Like, you really got to go there. Or else you're in for a bad time. Really hard to do. Really hard to do. But that's what we're dealing with a little bit here, it seems. And, she says all the things I've done for you, like, please follow this one request from me. Sure, I can respect that. And I think Jin's doing a good job. But see, she's perfectly capable. She can still move around. She can still ride a horse. Like, she's not completely incapacitated.
My mother would take me on long walks in these hills and teach me about the plants.
Maybe that's why you saw her.
Nice. That's good. And she may have...
Almost there.
She may have moments where she realizes, no, my mom's dead. I thought my mom's dead. Wait, why did I see? But I saw her. Plain as day, I saw her. Like, hallucinations can be part of it all, too. It's rough. I know I keep saying it's rough, but I cannot emphasize it. This shit sucks ass. Anybody who's been in this position knows. It is not fun.
A cemetery.
My family is here.
Where's this gonna go? Damn. Look at that.
Kazumasa. That night, you brought little Jin to me. And he was so sick after all that time in the forest. We had already lost Lady Sakai. Kazumasa, are you listening?
Say yes, Jin.
I'm listening.
I made him drink that remedy my mother taught her. We sat by his side the whole night. You held my hand. Do you remember?
Yes, I remember.
That night, I was so scared. So sad for little Jin. But I was so happy. Does that make me a bad person?
No.
When he recovered, when you taught me how to ride, the day we rode to the onsen, oh, the sun sunset was red and full. That was
That was what?
the best day of my life. It's dark, Kazumasa. Tell me what you see.
Oh, man. Oh. Oh.
I can see all the way to Yuriko.
I remember the war. A tragedy for all the clans.
Castle Kaneda.
I wish you weren't there so often.
Why do you say that?
You have many responsibilities. I am grateful for the time we share, but I always want more.
There's the temple in Kushi. You can see the pagoda.
Every new year, I pray there for you, and little Jin, and my family.
Jin is lucky you take such good care of him. Now tell me what you see.
Oh, man.
Yuriko? Rest, Yuriko. The strength we need is all around us. The mighty fall at last, to be no more than dust before the wind.
Oh, man. Oh, wow. That's real shit, man. Oh, where do I even start, man? That's what Jin did there. I mean, that's it. That's it. It's exactly what I was talking about. It's exactly. Oh. You got to dig deep and go there, man. You do. It's so hard. He made it about her. I don't know that she knew she was going to die. Although there's a thing that can happen sometimes for humans. I mean, animals in general, where you know. Cats are notorious for like knowing when they're going to die, and they'll go hide into a spot that you normally wouldn't find them. And the humans, I think, sometimes get a sense of it too. But the power of that is, to me, I mean, that's a real moment where this person, it just feels, it's so raw. Like Yuriko there, that is a raw bid for comfort, for acknowledgement and validation. And Jin being willing to like get in there and just be like, all right, man, I'm going with it. I'm my dad right now. Is a really selfless thing to do. I mean, it's just, it's it makes me emotional because it's like, it's the ultimate, that's empathy right there, man. Like that's, to me, is like the ultimate form of connection. To be willing to like drop your own shit and be what the moment demands of you. And he's never going to forget that, because that was like, he was what she needed to be. He brought her comfort in the moments before she died. I mean, that's, she died at her mother's grave overlooking the area, and it was described to her by a person who meant a great deal to her. And Jin was there, just not in the way that he was there, you know? Like, he was in her mind as still like a baby that she cares about, and he could acknowledge that. Oh man, it's just, god damn, that is good shit. That is really good shit. It takes a lot for games to get me to like cry. I mean, that is really powerful shit. I just can't understate how you have to dig so deep to do that. You really do. Like, you have to really get down in there. And that was so beautifully done. Man. Whew. You know what didn't matter there? Honor. Legacy. Code. None of it mattered. What mattered there was just his connection. That's what mattered. Acknowledgement. Presence. Like, it's, we underestimate the power of those things. And this is a nice reminder. And like, ultimately, at the end of the day, as relational animals, we want to feel safe. We want to feel held and understood. We want to feel relationship and connection. That, a lot of the other stuff kind of goes by the wayside. So, how anybody else would have reacted, I have no idea, and I'm not going to speculate. What I care about is that Jin responded beautifully. And I think the kind of the last thing I'll say about it is a way to bring it full circle to some of the stuff I was saying as we got closer to it. That's why you have to acknowledge what's happening. If Jin sits there in denial, freaks out, tries to convince her that he's Jin, that this isn't real, what does he actually gain from that? What does she gain from that? I'd argue nothing. You miss the opportunity to have a beautiful moment that will last forever. That moment is grounded in reality. That's the most, to me, it's there it is, right? Like, that's the crazy thing, is even though she's not acknowledging like what's actually happening in the moment, that was real. That was present. That was, she legitimately believes she's sitting there with Jin's father and is reminiscing. And Jin is playing along with that. And while playing along with that, is more present with her than any other approach he could have had. Any other approach. And then it was real for him too. he got to hear the experience of Yuriko. He got to hear her reminisce about something that she would have never gone to because she'd have been panicking if he was trying to talk her into, hey, let's get off this cliff. This isn't real. We're going to get you to blah, 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 blah. Like, there's just no reason to do that. You really don't gain anything from it. You really don't. Not in that moment. That was great. So I love that Nobu knows to comfort Jin too. Big respect to Sucker Punch for putting that in here. I still don't get what killed her. I don't think it's particularly relevant. She died. It could have been the Alzheimer's. It could have been, I don't know, maybe she put a touch of poison in for herself. Maybe she died of old age. Maybe it's just whatever. I would argue that what killed her there doesn't matter. She's dead. Oh, shit. How's this one? I guess we make this jump. These storms are intense. Every time we watch, you see these, I always imagine like somebody had to haul those raw materials up the mountain to build this thing. Charm of the kami of the hunt. Remain hidden when assassinating enemies from grass. Gosh. Damn. All of a sudden, storms are gone. Wow, look at that. Ooh-wee. That's nice. That's not. I almost just killed myself on the shrine, but. Well, I guess we can go hit up that spring then. Probably go back home and tell that guy that Yuriko's dead. That guy's gonna be like, "Where's she at? She never came home last night. She went out with Jin and."
Come here and fight.
What up, buds? Oh no! Oh no!
Uncle seems so much older. Maybe the war aged him. Or I never noticed before.
You're maturing, Jin. You see people in a different light once you yourself mature. All right. Just gorgeous. Cannot get over. Unreal. This question mark. Oh, cool. Good. Yes, sir. What? I totally got that. There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. First try on that one? Yeah, right. Pretty good.
Looking for me?
Bamboo Master. Yeah. Oh shit. Huh.
Hold still.
My life is yours, Lord Sakai.
I'll see that you keep it. I could use information about the area.
I don't know much. Just that the Mongols have taken over the lighthouse on Kubara's coast.
A fine outpost for scouting. Thank you.
I don't want info. I want supplies. Oh well. Now we shall compose more haiku. All right, what do we got? Reflect on rebirth. Sparring in the wind. This is the worst time for you to stand up, kitty. See what's looking back. A journey awaits. Gilded armor splashed with red. A welcome escape from all. Sit beneath the golden shroud. Cat sits on mouse. Wash the fear away. Cleanse yourself from pain. Replace what was lost.
A journey awaits. Sit beneath the golden shroud. Replace what was lost.
See what that looks like. Oh, not bad. All right. I guess we might as well see what this is. It's close. Camp that needs liberating. Yep. Smells like bitch in here.
And show me your skill.
God damn, my cat, literally, worst possible time. Come on, man. Man, that guy can fight. Where'd you go, bud? Where'd you go? Did you go in the tent? You sure did. Nice. All right. What do we have here? Oh, that's the guard tower, right?
Good horse, noble.
Let's ride.
Let's go, noble.
Ugh. God. All right. Oh, jeez. Fragmentation, it sure had. All right. Well, we'll storm the watchtower, part 30. I gotta roll out. But thank you so much for taking the time to make it through what was a very emotional episode. I appreciate you caring about what I have to say about this stuff, and that you're following along this playthrough. It means a lot to me. If you leave a thumbs up and a comment, you're the best. Thanks for doing that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't either. If you are binging, I'll see you right here in part 30. We're waiting for the next one to come out. Get it out as soon as I can. I appreciate you all. You matter. We'll see you in the next episode.